Imagine standing on a balcony overlooking Coruscant. Above you, thousands of speeders race between skyscrapers that disappear into the clouds. Below, trillions of people move through a city that never sleeps. And in distant shipyards, workers assemble another massive star destroyer, while banks transfer unimaginable sums of credits every second. At the center of it all sits Emperor Palpatine, the ruler of the largest government in galactic history. But just how rich was the Galactic Empire? Well, not rich enough to buy a few warships, but rich enough to build planet-killing super weapons, maintain fleets of thousands of star destroyers, and control the resources of an entire galaxy. Today we're following the money to find out just how powerful the Imperial economy really was, and why that economic giant eventually collapsed. Before there was an empire, there was the Galactic Republic. For more than 1,000 years, the Republic connected millions of worlds through trade, shared currency, and faster-than-light travel. Imagine modern Earth, but instead of hundreds of countries, there are millions of planets all participating in one enormous economic network. Resources flowed constantly between worlds. Food, metals, medicine, technology, and energy moved across the galaxy every day. When Palpatine declared the birth of the Empire, he was creating a new economy. He was taking control of the greatest economic machine the galaxy had ever seen. At its peak, the Empire ruled roughly 1.5 million member worlds. Think about that for a second. Earth has about 8 billion people. Coruscant alone is believed to have housed over 1 trillion. And Coruscant was only one planet among millions. The Empire wasn't collecting taxes from billions or even trillions of citizens. It was drawing wealth from populations so vast that the numbers became difficult to comprehend. Every shipping company, every mining operation, every trade organization, and every planetary government. A portion of that wealth flowed upward to Imperial control. The Empire's greatest advantage wasn't efficiency, it was scale. When you control enough worlds, even average planets generate extraordinary wealth. The Empire controlled an unimaginable amount of natural resources. Mining worlds extracted valuable metals around the clock. Agricultural planets fed billions. Industrial worlds manufactured everything from machinery to military hardware. Planets like Kessel generated enormous wealth through resource extraction, while countless other worlds supplied the rare materials needed for advanced technology and starship construction. To the Empire, every moon, asteroid, and planet had value. The galaxy itself became inventory. The corporations that kept the Empire running. Contrary to popular belief, the Empire didn't build everything itself. Massive corporations handled much of the work. Shipbuilding companies produced warships. Weapons manufacturers supplied military hardware. Mining conglomerates extracted resources across thousands of systems. The Empire offered contracts, protection, and political influence. Corporations provided production. Both sides benefited enormously. Imagine receiving an order for thousands of star destroyers. Not one. Thousands. A contract like that could make a corporation wealthier than entire planetary economies. For the Empire, military expansion wasn't just about security, it was business. Now most people see a star destroyer and think of military power. The Empire saw economic activity. An Imperial star destroyer stretched roughly 1.6 kilometers long and required millions of components: hyperdrives, reactors, shield generators, weapon systems, computers, and armor plating. And the countless workers needed to build and transport them. Every Star Destroyer represented years of labor and production spread across multiple worlds. Now imagine building more than 25,000 of them. Entire planetary economies likely existed to support fleet construction. The Imperial Navy wasn't just a military force. It was one of the largest economic projects in galactic history. Then came the Death Star. As impressive as the Star Destroyers were, they were nothing compared to the Death Star, a moon-sized battle station capable of destroying planets. The amount of labor, material, energy, and infrastructure required to build it is almost impossible to calculate. Mining operations expanded, shipyards shifted production, entire worlds became suppliers. Trillions upon trillions of credits were poured into the project. The Death Star wasn't simply a weapon. It was proof that the Empire possessed resources on a scale humanity can barely imagine. And perhaps the most astonishing part, after losing the first one, they started building another. But enormous wealth creates enormous expenses. The Empire had to govern millions of worlds, and that meant maintaining governors, administrators, intelligence agencies, military garrisons, communication networks, customs offices, and security forces across the galaxy. Control is expensive, and the larger the Empire became, the more expensive it became to maintain. Every rebellion required military intervention. Every occupied world consumed resources. Every act of resistance increased costs. The Empire was rich, but it was spending money at an incredible rate. At first glance, the Empire looked unstoppable. Unlimited resources, unlimited fleets, unlimited soldiers. But history shows that the largest empires often carry the seeds of their own destruction. As organizations grow larger, bureaucracy expands, corruption spreads, resources are wasted, efficiency declines. The Empire could afford giant fleets and superweapons. The question was whether it could sustain them forever. As more resources flowed into military projects, the system became increasingly dependent on constant expansion and control. Eventually, the machine grew so large that it became difficult to manage, and that's when the cracks started to show. Now this is what makes the Rebel Alliance so remarkable. They were smaller, poorer, and vastly outgunned. Economically, they should never have been able to defeat an empire that controlled 1 million worlds. Yet they did. Because economic power isn't everything. The Empire believed every problem could be solved by building something bigger. A larger fleet, a larger army, a larger weapon. But the rebels understood something the Empire didn't. Empires don't collapse simply because they lose money. They collapse when people stop believing in them, and once faith in the Empire began to fade, even its immense wealth couldn't save it. So was the Galactic Empire the richest civilization in science fiction? Well, it's certainly a strong contender. Millions of worlds, quadrillions of citizens, galaxy-spanning trade networks, planet-sized infrastructure, moon-sized battle stations. Few fictional civilizations can match that level of economic power. But perhaps the most interesting lesson isn't how rich the Empire became. It's that all that wealth still wasn't enough. The Empire controlled the resources of an entire galaxy. Yet in the end, it fell for the same reason many great empires throughout history have fallen. It became too large, too expensive, and too dependent on fear to survive. The Galactic Empire may have been the wealthiest civilization the galaxy had ever known. But even a fortune measured in worlds wasn't enough to save it from itself. If you suddenly gained control of the Empire's treasury, what would you spend on? More Star Destroyers? Another Death Star? Or improving life across 1 million worlds? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, may the Force be with you always.